Cancel.
Schweezy.
From the people who brought you autistic people dating, now brought to you by Netflix, Down for Love, Down syndrome people dating. So, this show, very wholesome. You know, bad people like me come into these shows with bad intentions. But I gotta tell you, these shows always end up being more wholesome than you want them to be. And you're also normal people are probably worried, like, this isn't like making fun of people, is it? No, we're not making fun of people today on the show. We are going to make jokes, but we're not going to make fun of people, okay? There's a difference. What is the difference? We're not going to get into that today. So synopsis of the show, I know we're all wanting to know that. A heartwarming quest for love. This feel-good reality show follows several people with Down syndrome as they navigate the trials and triumphs of dating. And, yeah, and I gotta say, though, it must, I'm like losing my train of thought. It must be hard, you know, for people with Down syndrome living in New Zealand, you know, to have Down syndrome in New Zealand because, you know, in America where real people live, you know, we just talk and whatever sounds come out of our mouth, we do. But like people in like New Zealand, Australia, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. I always forget Wales is a place. Y'all need to get like a singer or something coming out of there, you know. Probably already have. But damn it. Oh yeah, no. So we're going back to this, but they all have to like fake their accents, you know? It's like for British people, like the best part of your day has to be like when you get home and you don't have to do the accent anymore, you know? You just can talk like a normal fucking human being. Yeah. And so yeah, I really, you know, and when you have Down syndrome, I think there is some stuff from what I remember with voice. I didn't really study Down syndrome voice, but I believe it's harder to have for breath support, which is why you don't see a lot of people with Down syndrome as singers. Like, I think it's because like it has to be something with like breath support. I believe it's right, and I think they may have something weird pronunciation. That's why they all kind of have like a back of their throats, like kind of like peanut butter in their mouth, kind of talking. And I think it's something with their DNA and stuff like that. But anyways, though, faking that New Zealand accent and having Down syndrome has to be kind of rough. But like the thing I feel like we all can agree on when watching this show and kind of like understanding how this show works is like that basically from watching that, it's almost like middle schoolers dating for the first time. We were all young once, you know. Some of you might be young right now, which time's a bitch. Just FYI, time will get you. Time's gonna get you. One day, time will get you. And I'm pretty sure we all acted like this when we were like dating for the first time. And like a lot of these guys with Down syndrome and ladies with Down syndrome, they are dating for the first time, you know? And so they act like middle schoolers because they don't. And I think, well, what is a better term instead of middle schooler? I think like they act like noobs. Noobs is a better word with 2 zeros. They act like noobs when they go on dates because like they just don't know what to do, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, so it's just, you know, it's very wholesome, very innocent to watch, and I think that's something that's like very, very nice about this show. You're like, oh, this is so wholesome, and you get that way until you get to a couple. It was like Carlos and this other chick. I can't remember the chick's name, but I remember Carlos. Like Carlos had not a New Zealand accent. He had like he was from Bolivia. Yeah, I hope Bolivia is right. So he had like a Bolivian accent, and yeah, so like that was different. Like usually people from other countries don't fake accents; they're just trying to talk. But British people are faking their accent. Like that's it's 100%, you know, what they do. But I like, you know, it's nice. But he was like, I honestly thought the show's called Down for Love, which I don't know why. And it's not like I'm not trying to be mean or anything when I think about this, but if I hear like someone with Down syndrome or whatever, and they make jokes like, if you're down, I'm down, you know, they make jokes like that, like automatic laugh from me. So I keep thinking the show is called Down Bad, which is not. And the reason why I think it's called Down Bad is because of Carlos. He was down bad, but I'm happy. I'm happy he found someone on the show. I don't know. I don't know what happened in real life. You know, I like to go into reality shows pretending that fake reality is real life, and I know it's fake, but at the same time, you know, like just let me live in my fantasies. You know, just let me live in the fantasies and stuff like that. And yeah, I guess and they're a lot nicer on like, you know, New Zealand, Australia, UK. They're always like way like I don't know why the producers are always like how they make the content is always like way nicer than how they do it in the US. Like that's why I couldn't watch Love on the Spectrum, the American version of Love on the Spectrum, because like we're so dirty when it comes to making reality shows. It's great to watch, but like I don't want to see you like doing people with autism dirty. Like, you know, when it's like that dumb bitch, you know, from high school, you know, when it's her getting ripped off, you're like, I think she kind of deserved it. But when it's like, you know, someone with autism or Down syndrome, like, you don't want to watch them, you know, you don't want to watch some fucking sleazy producer from TLC coming in and being like, all right, do this, make drama that doesn't exist. All right, let's edit this together where it's out of context. You know, people like that. So it's always nice, you know, just, you know, those people have morals over there, you know. I think it's because people in America, we have too much of being fake nice where, you know, if someone's a nice person, they're just a nice person, and if someone's kind of a dick, you know, like Larry David, like you don't think Larry David's a horrible person, but you know he's like he's not gonna be easy to communicate with, you know, and shit like that, you know. People who are just like honest with who they are. That's a rant that I forgot where I started at. I think we're talking about fucking. I wrote DS for Down syndrome, and I keep thinking Nintendo DS. You know, I don't know why I'm thinking. I think it's because I wrote. I don't know. I had an edible, and then what I'll do is I'll just like get on my iPad and then I'll just start writing shit down, you know, just like write some ideas down. Well, I do that when I'm sober too, but it's been a lot of fun when I'm high because then you get that. And when you're sober, like sometimes you have a cool idea and then sometimes you have the dumbest shit you've ever read in your life. And like I wrote, you know, like a song lyric or whatever. It's like, her ass is crushing my DS. I'm like, what the hell did I write? You know? But yeah, no, like, and I think, and I'm going back, kind of trying to rope back around here. I think there is something that we can all there is something recognizable about understanding like someone starting to date for the first time. Because I feel like most of us have, like, at least anyone who's had a girlfriend before, has dated before, knows that, like, you know, remember when you were a kid and you're trying to date? You know, I remember like being in the 6th grade, going to like middle school dances and shit like that, you know, and it was like a big deal, you know, because like if you have a girlfriend, like this is the night, you know, this is a special night and shit like that. And then, you know, when I got to high school, I'm like, I'm not going to fucking school dances or whatever, you know, like I just went to like prom. I'm pretty sure I went to like 2 school dances while I was in high school. First one was like a homecoming dance. And I'm like, I don't think I like school dances. Then I went to prom because like everyone goes to prom because I'm from the fucking Midwest and everyone goes to prom except for the weird kids. They don't go to prom. But I actually didn't go my senior year. I went to see Sarah Bareilles in concert instead, and I was like, I didn't have a date anyway, so it's like not really, you know, it wasn't really that big of a deal. So yeah, it just reminds me of like a more innocent time in my life where you know, like you were dating and dating was so much more not as complicated. It was like dating was easier, but also it was so complex in your mind because you just didn't know any better, you know? You just didn't know. That's like cool stuff. Also, if you pay attention to the credits in a show, you would have seen in this show it said, and I'm just looking at it. New Zealand, the New Zealand Down Syndrome Association. Now, I thought New Zealand was doing well. You know, like Lord of the Rings, you know, were there, and then was The Hobbit even recorded in New Zealand? Like half that shit was green screen. But you know, so you thought like, they had Lord of the Rings going for them, That's what you think about. You think about that with New Zealand, and you're like, what else does New Zealand have? Like shrimp on the bobby. I'm like, is that Australia? So the fact that they have a whole ass Down syndrome association, I'm just very shocked. Like New Zealand, I did not know you guys were doing that well. Like I thought you were like, we're white, so we're not poor, but we're not like that, But like, wow, I might shit like that. Like I didn't know. Like, did anyone know New Zealand was doing that good? Like you think New Zealand, like, oh, they probably have like a president. You think they probably have like a president? They probably have laws there, but then you're like, yeah, they have a whole ass fucking association for Down syndrome. Like what? They have that? That exists, So that's just that, that's I don't know. I just thought that was great. Like, did y'all think they had one of those? Did y'all think they had a whole ass association for people with Down syndrome? Because I didn't think so. I just thought, I'm like, well, they may have like a whole thing for like people with special needs, but not one specifically for Down syndrome. Because I didn't think Down syndrome was so niche that like it needed its whole ass association. They have an autism one though? Probably not. Human society, we're not good to people with autism. Like it's just who we are. Who we are as a society. We are just not good to people with autism. But last thing one thing I really want to focus on, and this is a deep thought. Unfortunately, we don't have the soundboard today. But I had a thought, and I'm kind of thinking this is true. As people would say, some people would say this is cap. I would rather just say bullshit. I'd rather just say that's bullshit instead of that's cap. I would rather say, I feel like bullshit figures out the word. I think it's bullshit. All right. I am not a Down syndrome denier. I do believe that Down syndrome exists, and I do believe people have it. I believe it's just like an extra chromosome. You're like homies with chromies. That's what your Down syndrome friends are. However, though, is Down syndrome a learning disability? I know some people obtain one and they also have Down syndrome. I believe that's the case. But I'm starting to think, like, I think for the most part, if you just have Down syndrome, if it's just you just have Down syndrome, I don't believe it's a learning disability. I think you just have an extra chromosome. I think that people with Down syndrome are, if they just have Down syndrome, they're just normal human beings. Because you even watch some of the people on this show, like there was the chick who was a model who was dating Josh. I remember that. My first character's named Josh. My real name is Sam. And, I've never heard a woman say, like, if his name is Sam, that's a red flag. However, though, I have heard the name Sam being referenced to in being the poster child name for your friend's brother with with like a learning disability, That's you're like, hi Sam, how are you doing? So surprisingly, I don't think there's been anyone named Sam on any of the, maybe Love on the Spectrum. There might have been one Sam. But this show didn't have any Sams, And so that's confused me because there was a Josh in the show, but not a Sam. And we all know Josh is, go up to any woman that's ever existed. Any woman. You go up to him, all you have to say is, I'm sorry about what Josh did to you. And they're going to have an emotion. Like, an emotion's going to come up. An emotion is going to come up. So, yeah. Is Down syndrome a learning disability? In itself, no. But there are a lot of people who have Down syndrome who do have an actual learning disability. But I don't think Down syndrome in itself is a learning disability. I read about a chick, she had like mosaic Down syndrome, and so I guess she had like a kid or another or two kids with Down syndrome, and then she herself got tested and found out she had Down syndrome. I'm like, that is so fucking crazy. I'm like, and that also proves my point where it's like, just Down syndrome in itself is not a learning disability. Okay, those guys and girls and the they thems. Do they? You know how like Latin people or Latinx are like, no, we're not going with that. Like that's just a white people thing we're doing. Do you think that's the same with people with Down syndrome? You know, because I don't know. Do you guys think Down syndrome is a learning disability? Down syndrome in itself, just having an extra chromosome. Because I don't. I would definitely hire someone with Down syndrome to work for me. Like it's not like a big. I don't know. It's I'm. Am I crazy for thinking this? That Down syndrome is not a learning disability in itself. Because like every person with Down syndrome is just fine. They're just like, hey, what's going on, man? And we're like, not much. How are you? I'm like, I'm good. I don't know. It's a controversial take. I know. Very much the show is about hot takes, but that is what I believe. But anyways, though, that is Down for Love, not Down Bad, which I've been calling it, but Down for Love. People with Down syndrome dating. Everyone watch it. It's on Netflix, and you can watch it now. It's available now. We're on Netflix, and it's very wholesome. I kind of got bored at the end, like the last episode. I kind of got bored. I think they took away all the familiar characters, but I like the show. I'm ready for another one, make another season. But Americans, we're not doing this. This is, it's nice to see what other countries are doing every once in a while, and this is the show for it.
Thank you for watching this clip. Watch it again or watch something else.